Okay, so officially it is Chris and Susan Beasley here hosting this webinar for the 1010 Formula team, which we have made public to the whole wide world. Now, whilst we have the branding of the 1010 Formula, because this is the system that Chris and I have founded and created, we have tonight with us one of the most amazing entrepreneurs that we know and have the privilege to have as our mentor and to work alongside, Mr. Darren Little, and we're going to be handing over to him in just a moment. This is a pure value webinar, and I want you to be aware of that. We are not in any way, shape or form pitching anything whatsoever tonight, and I'm going to cover that and get that out the way because, believe it or not, there has been some controversy on Facebook about this webinar because we've made it free and open to the world. People have been asking, what the heck are we going to pitch at the end of it? We're not pitching anything. The only thing we want you to do is take huge value out of this and propel your business, whatever it is, in 2013 to the very next level. And there is not a better person on this planet, in our opinion, to bring this webinar to you this evening. So I hope that you have pen and paper and a drink handy, because you are going to want to take lots of notes. Now, we will tell you this, it is copyrighted, this webinar, so please do not record it unless it is for your own personal use. We don't want to see it up on YouTube or anything like, because it does have huge value, this webinar, and it will be going into the 1010 Formula team back office at the end of this webinar. So we're really grateful that you've joined us live. We hope that you enjoy it, and in just a moment we're going to hand over to Darren.
Yes, absolutely, and you know, you really are going to get a lot of value out of this. And the reason that we're putting this on right now is because it is New Year. It is at the beginning of the year, and all of you guys are on here because you want to do something in 2013 that's going to make you phenomenally better than you were in 2012.
Yes, absolutely. And before I hand this over to Darren, I do want to say actually that we had a breakfast meeting in Heathrow on Saturday with some very good friends who were flying in from Dallas in the States through to Norway. And we spent about 3 hours with them over breakfast, and we were actually talking about what it is that most people need. And we weren't talking specifically goal setting or anything like that, but it is the personal development side of every single business. And if you get that right and you truly understand the value of personal development and growing as a person, whatever business you're in, then absolutely you are going to be able to take your business to the next level. So I think without further ado, we will hand you over to Darren. Let us just check that he is here on the line and we'll make him a presenter.
Hi Darren, can you hear us okay?
I certainly can. Chris and Susan, Happy New Year. How are you today?
We are great, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So I guess I am live.
You certainly are, Darren, and we're going to mute out, so okay. It's over to you.
Enjoy.
Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unstoppable Vision 2013, the purpose of goal setting. Now, this, as Chris and Susan were saying, this is strictly a value-based webinar. Really, the purpose of this is to really tap you into your personal power. Whatever business it is that you're doing, whatever path it is that you're on, all I can tell you is one thing. If you do not have goals, if you do not have a direction and a purpose, you might as well not even start into 2013. The purpose of goal setting literally is like oxygen. You have to have goals in order to propel you to the next level in your business. Now, once again, my name is Darren Little. I've been an entrepreneur for, it's got to be about, over 25 years now. I started working when I was actually 12 years old, if you can believe that. I'm now an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I wrote a book called MLM Affiliate Magic, and I was also a contributing author to Chicken Soup for the Network Marketer's Soul with Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield. Now, why exactly should you listen to me? Well, in 1989, I launched Pamela Anderson's career. You've probably seen her in a variety of different movies, magazine covers, etc. And when I first met Pamela, interesting story, I asked her if she'd ever done any modeling, and her response to me was that she was too short. Now, that is an example of, you know, what can happen just with a mind shift, just with putting somebody into a different world of possibilities on being able to create their own reality. I also launched a company called Able Auctions. I raised over $12 million for this company. Took them public on the OTC bulletin board and then over to the American Stock Exchange. Blackjack.com. I'm one of the original founders of that company. It has gone on to win multiple awards on the internet. Bingo.com, I was the president, CEO, and founder of. That became the stickiest site on the internet. Our goal, once again about goals, our goal was to beat out Google at the time, that had an average user time of 20 minutes. And we doubled that and then some with over 45-minute average user time. If you've seen my own brand, MLM Superhero, we've just recently launched the MLM Superheroes. And our mission and our goal really is to make a difference for the kids. We're launching a motivational cartoon and a games and things like that with their, you know, the interactive systems, and they've got now based upon a comic book story. You see the comic lines right now in movies and whatnot coming out really, really big. So this will be teaching kids how to own their personal power, tap into positivity, and overcome the droid monsters called the negabots that will help them to realize their dreams. My passion truly is marketing. It's something that I would do whether or not I got paid to do it or not. And that's when you know that you're living your passion and your purpose. If you can get up in the morning and you would do whatever it is that you're going to do, even if you didn't get paid, that's when you know that you're on your path. And so many people are on doing jobs and they're on a path and they absolutely hate what they do. I always tell people, just think about this. Live your passion. What is your passion? A lot of people don't even know what their passion is. Very, very fortunate. When I was growing up, I found that marketing was truly my passion. I love creative campaigns. I love launching creative campaigns. Some of my campaign strategies have lasted as long as 18 years. If you can actually imagine that a company has so much success with a marketing campaign that they just keep on implementing it year after year. So, you know, a lot of people sort of relate success to you know, goals again and things that you can achieve. That's a picture of my house in Las Vegas. It's over 5,000 square feet. A few of the cars and stuff that I've you know, acquired over the course of my career. So why exactly is it that goals are so important? Why do I put so much emphasis for all my students to have some sort of a goal? Well, here is sort of the reasons, and these are really, really important for you to understand. First of all, a goal actually gives you some sort of a destination point. It gives you a sense of purpose and accomplishment so that you actually know that you've actually done something in your business. And they're trackable. So you can literally list a set of goals and check them off one at a time to see that you've been able to achieve them. And what's amazing is as soon as you put pen to paper, there is a phenomenal thing that takes place. Now you're dealing with universal principles and universal laws. And there's other factors that start to get involved that you may not even be aware of. Now, here's the great thing about goals. They can boost your confidence, they can boost your self-esteem, and they can dramatically improve the quality of your life. Now, here's a story that I want to tell you really quickly, because back when I was in my 30s, I was working for a gentleman by the name of Dr. Lee Poulos. He specialized in the power of the subconscious mind, your core beliefs about money, truly your driving force. What is it that inspired you young to be able to, do what you do and be on the path of success? A lot of it happens when in the early stages of development. That's where our early programming comes. So I was working as vice president of marketing for this gentleman, and we started getting a lot of people asking us, well, how much do you guys charge? We want to bring in, myself and the other gentleman that was in the vice president of corporate expansion. They wanted to bring us in to do some of these seminars. So we went out to the beach one day and we wrote out some goals. And we said, well, how would we know if we had been successful doing this? So we said, well, we would be working with Anthony Robbins. I mean, he's like the #1 guy in the industry. So we put at the top of our list, work with Anthony Robbins. And I said, well, wouldn't it be great if we had like corporate sponsors that like paid for everything, like our promo material and travel and our clothes and everything? So we put corporate sponsors paying for everything. I said, wouldn't it be great if we were like on the front cover of some magazine or a newspaper? Like, I mean, then we would know. Like, I mean, if we were written up on a front cover, like we would know that we had been successful on this path. So we put front cover of a newspaper or magazine. I said, wouldn't it be great if, we were doing seminars for like Fortune 500 companies and really well-known corporations that were global? That would be really great. So we put that as one of the goals. I said, what would be awesome? Wouldn't it be great if we were like on Oprah Winfrey? Like, can you imagine like us on Oprah Winfrey? Get work, be on Oprah Winfrey. Wouldn't it be great if we could donate like $1 million to charity? Like kids charity, like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Wouldn't that be awesome? So here's what happened. 11 months later, we got a call from the Anthony Robbins group saying, we heard about you guys through the World Trade Center, through the Vancouver Board of Trade, and we want to feature you for the Firewalk opening up for Tony Robbins. And quite honestly, I thought it was a prank when we got the call. So we did that. We worked with Anthony Robbins. We worked at the Institute here in Vancouver. For our first event, we had 28 corporate sponsors. Everything that you can possibly imagine, from our chocolates to our balloons to the clothing that we wore. We got free trips to Club Med. We were doing seminars for the Institute of Canadian Bankers, Yellow Pages. I mean, it was all the stuff that we had written down started to happen within 11 months, as crazy as it was. Now, here's the interesting thing. You would think, oh, get on Oprah Winfrey. Like, how could that be possible? Well, my business partner, Rob Riker, was doing an event, and he had a phenomenal story. He actually walked out of a wheelchair. He was crippled in a wheelchair. He used the power of the mind. He had rheumatoid arthritis and ankylosing spondylitis, and the doctors said that he would not be able to ever walk again. Welcome to your new world, Rob. Here's your wheelchair. And he said to them, I'm going to show you guys what's possible with the power of the mind. And within 6 months, not only did he walk out of the wheelchair, but he actually repaired his joints. Now, the doctor said it was not possible. They figured they got the x-rays mixed up, but he actually repaired his joints using the power of the mind. Now, right then, he was doing a seminar for was out in Abbotsford, and he met people from a program called Northwest, and they found out about his story and our mission, what we were doing for the kids, and they said, you know what, our people are like a couple of people away from Oprah's people. We're going to get you guys onto Oprah Winfrey. So that was really the last thing, and that was going to catapult us onto the next phase, which was to donate $1 million to charity. Now, as luck had it, and unfortunate that things happened the way that they did, but right at that time, Rob actually had a heart attack, and we lost him. So we are now continuing, myself and Eric Green, this whole mission with the comic book. We're bringing it back with the cartoon and everything that we're doing. with a goal to still, you know, meet Oprah Winfrey, get onto Oprah Winfrey, and also to donate $1 million to charity. So it just goes to show the power of goals. Now, what happens without goals? Well, here's what I can tell you. First of all, you've got no destination. Most people have a sense of feeling lost, and or they feel like they're failing in life. You've got zero accountability every day when you wake up, and most people start to actually get a loss of confidence, a loss of self-esteem. Many actually go into a state of depression, and it can definitely lead to a decrease in quality of life. Now, right here, Tony Robbins, this is one of my own mentors, and his personal power program, if you have not gone through his 30-day personal power, that program completely transformed my reality, and I highly recommend that. That was the starting point for me on the path of personal growth and personal development. And isn't it interesting how later I ended up being on stage with Tony multiple times, and it's just a phenomenon. Tony Robbins, right there, the guru, as far as I'm concerned. He is the granddaddy of personal development, and really recommend that program. So this is his quote: "You're either growing or shrinking, climbing or sliding. There's no in between. It's one or the other." Now, if you've got goals, you're growing. If you don't, you're shrinking. If you've got goals, you're climbing. If you don't, you're sliding. So just to keep that in mind. Now, here is something that I want to put out to you. And this is dealing in an area of quantum physics. This is scientific proof, guys. This is scientific proof that as I was working later in my career in my 40s with Dr. Dov Baron, this is where I took my career to a completely different level, because I realized my ability, and all of us have this ability, to create our own realities. Now, it's very important for you to understand this in the process of your daily thinking, your daily activity, that there are two worlds that exist simultaneously. They're like parallel realities. On one side, you've got everything that you want, and on the other side, you've got everything that you don't want. Now, whichever one that you focus on is the one that you're going to get. This deals with actual science, actual scientific proof dealing with vibrational frequency and thought, consciousness. Now, here's the interesting thing, and I encourage you to do a little bit of research on this so that you can go, holy cow, I had no idea. This is something called the wave particle theory. And they've actually conducted scientific experiments where, the scientists wanted to see what exactly is it that the world's made of. When you take things back smaller and smaller into the atoms and the molecules, and then it gets into the electrons, well, what is everything made up of? So some of the scientists argued that everything was made up of waves, while other scientists argued that everything was made up of particles. Now, during these particular type of experiments, they put the scientist in a special room, and it's like, got steel and concrete around the facility, and they don't have any other human beings for something like a 3 or 4 mile radius. It's like a testing facility specifically to prove this point. Now, here's the interesting thing. When they looked through the microscope, the scientists that believed that everything was made up of waves saw waves. But the scientists that believed that everything was made up of particles, they saw particles. So that means that our conscious thoughts are actually what is creating reality. Now, what do you think about that when you think about how much time in the day that you focus on everything that's not going well for you? Your bills and your stress and the things that you've got going on. This is what hinders most people from advancing into the next stage of their reality, and they don't even realizing it. What happens is that whatever you focus on, you are going to get more of. And if you focus more on your stress and more on your frustration and more on your sore back and more on your headache and more on all the things that aren't going right, guess what happens? You actually start to manifest and create more chaos, more frustration, more friction, more terrible things in your relationship, more terrible things that go on with your kids, accidents. You know, these are all things that are created from a frequency broadcasting of everything that you don't want. So very, very important to keep in mind. I would encourage you, though, to go to YouTube and type in the wave particle theory and do a little bit of research to actually prove out this point and see what I'm talking about. So the question is really this: what are you thinking about? Because you need to monitor your thoughts. Why? Because the human brain is programmed to self-destruct. Now, I'll repeat that one more time. The human brain is programmed to self-destruct. And in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about an entire chapter on self-sabotage. Now, this is a phenomenon, guys, and it's really important for you to get this, because you can be not doing so great, and then all of a sudden things start really happening, and you start maybe, you know, making $10,000 a month or more, $20,000 a month, and all of a sudden something happens. What happens? The air conditioner unit comes on, and all of a sudden you do nothing. And that $20,000 starts to slip, and it gets back down to a comfort level that you're comfortable with as far as your own deservability and worthiness. So very important to understand, what are you thinking about? Now, I use this as an example in a lot of my seminars, and I say to people, where exactly are you going? Now, imagine calling a travel agent, and you get the travel agent on the phone and you say, you know, give me 2 tickets. Where exactly is that travel agent going to send you to? You have no idea. They may even send you into a war zone. Now, imagine you're thinking you're going to go on a nice vacation, and you go and pick up your tickets from the travel agent, and you go to the airport and get on the plane, and you get off the plane, and there's, you know, guys there with M16s, and you're like, holy crap, what happened here? Where am I? You're in a war, and you didn't even realize it. Why? Because you didn't tell the travel agent where you actually wanted to go. So this is a great sort of analogy for life, because if you don't pick your goals, if you don't pick your destination, you're like a lost ship that is literally blowing this way and blowing that way in the wind, instead of actually charting your own course, picking your destination, and saying, I'm right here right now, and that is where I'm headed. That is where I'm going to go. So a few questions to ask yourself as we move into 2013. First of all, why haven't you already achieved financial freedom? And that's a really good question. For most people, it's because they're not living their passion, just so you know. Most people are stuck in jobs that they hate, working for people that they can't stand, you know, paying off cars that they can't even afford. And it's like they're a gerbil in the cage. Why? Because they've got a mortgage. Why? Because they've got kids. So they never actually pursue their passion. They don't even identify it. So that might be one of your goals for 2013, is just to simply identify, what's my passion? What's my purpose here? What am I even doing? You know, that's a great place to start. And a lot of people never get to that. So my question to you is this: what is stopping you? Now, most people, they have a story. You know, I can't be successful, Darren, because, you know, I just don't have the time. I mean, you have no idea. Like, I got 3 kids, or I got, you know, I just, you know, got a divorce, or I'm, you know, I'm totally broke, or, you know, what is the story? I can't be successful because blank. And I would actually write this out so that you can see what your story is and be able to correct your story. Because let me tell you this, when I launched bingo.com, just the URL, okay, that you can go to GoDaddy now and buy URLs for $7.95. Just the URL cost over $1 million. That did not include the cost for the staffing or the cost for the software or the leasing cost for the equipment or the offices or anything like that. I'm talking about the URL alone cost 1 million, or was actually over 1.1 million, but I just say over $1 million just to round it off. But here's the thing, I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money to be able to do that deal, but I signed a contract with my signature on it, with a date, with a goal, with a deadline to be able to come up with that money. Now, I could have bought into the fact that I can't be successful with bingo.com because I don't have, over $1 million to be able to buy the URL, but I didn't do that. I believed that it was possible. I believed that with the right partnerships and the right joint ventures and the right people, the right relationships, that I could pull it off. And we didn't have a long period of time to be able to pull it off. It was only like 3 or 4 months to be able to put the whole thing together. But I did it. Now, in addition to the $1 million, I had to raise another $6 million in order to actually run the company. Now, I could have once again said, well, I don't have the money. I can't be successful with bingo.com because I don't have another $6 million. That's where you really need to understand, what is your story? Because we all have it. I can't be successful, Darren, because I don't have enough time. I mean, you got all these contacts. I don't have any contacts. I don't have the knowledge and the training that you do. I don't have the money. You know what? I don't even feel like I'm worthy or deserving enough. Those are all factors that you're going to need to address if you want 2013 to be your best year. Then you've got the fears. So you got the not being enough, not being good enough, not having enough, and then you've got the fears. You got fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, or loss of friends. Now here's what I can guarantee you. As you increase your vibrational resonance, some of your friends are going to fall away. Get over it, because there is literally, hundreds and thousands of people that are at a much higher level frequency of success and personal development that are going to literally be there waiting for you with open arms to give you a hug and be there at your celebration. So don't worry about it. So many people, they get stuck in this fear of losing their friends, fear of what people are going to say. And I can tell you for fact, when I drove up in a brand new Porsche and I, pulled up to a buddy of mine's place and, I saw the look on his face, I busted my butt. The bottom line is I was working while he was partying. I was working on Friday night. I was working on Saturday and Sunday. I was working all the times that my friends weren't. So when I drove up in that brand new car and he said, "Oh man, you're lucky." I go, "Really? What part of luck are you talking about? Are you talking about the Friday nights that I was working till midnight, or the Saturdays that I put in a double shift? What part of luck are you talking about?" Luck is when mental preparedness meets opportunity. So my question to you is, what type of luck are you creating for yourself? Because we all create luck. Being at the right place at the right time, being with the right people, that's not luck. That's when you are ready, you're mentally ready, when you're tapped into the zone, where you're on a path of personal development and personal growth, and you say, you know what, I want that lifestyle. That's what I'm going for. So a lot of people are actually scared of their own power. I've met so many people that are phenomenal manifestors, and why aren't they successful? They're amazing. I say to them, I've got so many people that I know of, and I go, wow, you just really totally undervalue how great you are because you're phenomenal. And they go, oh, well, yeah, I don't know. You know, that's a person that is scared of their own personal power. So these are the areas that you want to look at as to what's actually held you back so far. Now, how do you actually set goals? What do you do? What's it all about? Well, this is what I do. I break down the main areas of my life into specific categories. Now, obviously, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And this is one of my personal goals for 2013 moving forward, is that you know, health and fitness is going to be my #1 priority. Why? Because you've only got one body. And if you don't have that body, guess what? You're not here. So a lot of people don't put their focus on health and fitness until it becomes a problem. And then it gets their attention. Well, here's the interesting thing. If you put all of your attention into certain areas, the universe is going to give you a massive wake-up call and a knock, knock, knock on your door of reality, because you're not putting your focus on the other areas. So if you're not putting it on health and fitness as the #1 top priority, you're going to get a wake-up call. I can guarantee you that. So health and fitness. The next thing is your spiritual and emotional well-being. And this is really the next most important thing, because now you really need to work on your inner game. A lot of people say, Darren, what's the answer? How do you pull these things off? Because your outer world is a direct reflection of your inner world. So the journey is inward, guys. The journey is inward. It's not about some new marketing strategy. 95% of your success will be based upon mindset, on goal setting, on tapping into your personal power, on getting rid of your story, and realizing that you can create whatever reality that you want. So spiritual and emotional. And a lot of the gateway happens from healing the past. So if you want to move forward into the future, you need to start looking at your relationships with your parents, with your siblings, that happened in the early stages of programming, that's going to open up a gateway for you to advance to a much higher level in the future. You've got the family and the relationships, you've got career and travel, and then financial goals, material items, you know, as far as things that you want to get, like a, you know, a car or a house or a watch or clothes or whatever, and contribution and giving back, all stuff around finances. So those are the key areas. Now, why do you want the goal? Now, this is something that a lot of people never really get into, and it's crucial that you understand this. So here's an example. A lot of people say, well, you know, I want a bigger house. Oh, really? Well, why do you want a bigger house? Well, we need more space. You got to go deeper than that. Well, okay, so you need more space. Well, it'll be more comfortable. I mean, of course, you know. Then you got to go deeper. Well, we'll be more organized. You got to go deeper than that. Well, we'll feel more peaceful. That's really at the core. It's not about just the space. It's much deeper than that. You need to get to the actual core of why you really want that goal. So here's an example. I want to get a sports car. Oh, really? Why? Well, you know, because they go really fast. Oh, well, really? Well, yeah, it'll be more fun. Oh, really? Well, yeah, it'll make me feel really good. And then you find out that the person wants to get the recognition as they pull up in the Mercedes from their peers. So it's very important for you to understand what is the core driving force of the actual goal itself. It's not just the thing. It's not just the accomplishment. It's what is it doing for you on a core level of your being that is the most important. So I tell people to focus on giving yourself more of what's at the core. So the more that you can do that, the more that you will enter into a state of being grounded and a state of really accessing your own personal power. It's all about that internal balance. So as an example, with the bigger house, we identified that it was more peace of mind. You, in your meditation, you in your daily activity need to focus on having more peace of mind now in order to open up that gateway to bring in that new house. So it's by tapping into the feeling of what it feels like to already have whatever it is that you want to have. And at the core, that house really is that sense of peace of mind. The sports car, you know, recognition from the peers, you need to focus on giving yourself more recognition and self-love now in order to open up that gateway to get that sports car. So your focus would be on your own appreciation of you, your own recognition of you, and your own self-love in order to open up that gateway. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to set a time frame. Now, yearly goals must be believable in order for your subconscious mind to really get and to accept, because otherwise it's like, yeah, right. Now, here's an example. Let's say that you're making $40,000 a year and you set a goal, you write in your goals, you go, I'm going to make $2 million this year. Now, if that is not believable for your subconscious mind, guess what happens? Nothing. I'm talking zero. Like nothing at all. So you will be at the end of the year, and you know, because it's not even believable, it's like literally scratched off. The subconscious will not buy into the possibility of that being, you know, even remotely possible. So it won't happen. None of the gateways are going to open in creating that type of reality, because from a core level, you don't even believe it yourself. Now, in the event that you did believe it and you had an action plan and you had the joint venture partners and all the other things that we're going to talk about, then it would be different. Because I can tell you that for me, I had one particular year where I went from $100,000 to $1 million. But I believed it. I used all these strategies, and I was actually creating and manifesting my reality to happen. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to make a vision board. Now, a lot of people have heard about vision boards. They might have seen a vision board. I'm going to talk to you today about the science of a vision board and why it works, how it works, and how you can guarantee with 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, within 7 days, you're going to be on a new life path. Within 30 days, you will be astonished at what starts to happen. Miracles will start happening in your life. And within 90 days, you won't even recognize the path that you're on. All based upon scientific proof on actually creating your reality. This is like a radio station tuning into a certain broadcast. Now, what happens when a radio station is slightly off frequency? What do you get? You get static, nothing. You can't hear any music. When you take that radio station and you just make a very slight adjustment, bam, all of a sudden you hear a beautiful symphony. So in order to do a vision board, you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need a whiteboard. I recommend to go to an office supply place and ask specifically for a board that has a MacTac finish. It's called foam core. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and the whole surface of it is like a sticker. So you can peel it off, and you can put the foundation of the board down in one shot, and then I recommend that you get a glue stick. Don't use liquid glue. Use a glue stick because they're cleaner and they're just a lot easier to work with. So you need a glue stick, you need scissors, and you need some magazines. Here are the magazines that I highly recommend. National Geographic, because you need to put a foundation of nature on the board. You're going to build on top of the nature. So everything's going to be completely, all the white's going to be gone, and then you're going to build on top of that. So National Geographic golf magazines are obviously as well great for that, because they've got a lot of pictures of golf courses. Rob Report and Showcase magazine are one of the best magazines that you can get as far as possibility thinking. What is really possible? Because there are so many things that the human mankind has created that we don't even know about. And when you get a Rob report, you'll be like, oh, wow. Like, look at this house. Like, look at like this car. I've never, you know, some of the stuff that's in these Rob Report magazines is absolutely breathtaking. The DuPont registry for cars, homes, boats, really recommend that. Now, these other magazines like Maxim, Chatelaine, Stuff Magazine, Star Magazine, they typically have really, really big type, you know, G-force, like this thing that I've got on my particular board here. This is a science, guys. It's an absolute science. Now, you'll notice that you can go to actually darrenlittle.com/vision and then the # boards, and I actually have a video tutorial there that will explain this entire process so that you can go through it. Now, there's 3 steps to creating your vision: ripping, cutting, and pasting. Now, I've watched people do vision boards before where they go through a magazine and they cut one little thing out and they stick it on their board. Use this strategy that I'm teaching you here. You will get you'll be able to do it way faster. It'll be way easier, and the results are 100-fold better. So 3 stages: ripping, cutting, and pasting. Now, in the ripping stage, you're going to have the stack of magazines beside you, and all you're going to do is rip and stack. So any word, any picture, any sentence that you find inspiring, you're going to rip it out, put it in a stack, and keep on moving fast. Flip, flip, flip. Oh, there's something. Rip, stack, flip, flip, flip. You want to keep it moving. It's a quick energy. You can go through and do the ripping stage maybe in 20, 30 minutes. It shouldn't take you any more than that. So you got your stack of magazines beside you. Remember, any word, picture, sentence that changes your state in some way, rip, stack, rip, stack. You don't know what you're going to use right now. All you're doing is you're tapping into the emotional feeling. It's all about the feeling in your physiology. Now, here's the interesting thing, guys. I've done this so many times and talk about it so many times that as I'm talking about it, I literally get waves of energy and goosebumps that go through my body because I'm so tapped in to the physiology, the vibrational resonance of success, just like a radio broadcast station. So the next stage is the cutting. Now, I've seen a lot of people on this thing. They cut everything out to be a square. Now, it's very important that your board is 3-dimensional. And in order for it to be 3-dimensional, you need to close cut around certain objects. Like you're going to close cut around the car, or you're going to close cut around the watch, or you're going to close cut around some people, so that it has a 3-dimensional effect. And I'm going to show you an example of that, the difference between a flat board and a 3-dimensional board, because that is the reason a lot of people don't get any results from their vision board, because they haven't got this strategy down. So in the cutting stage, you're going to cut out whatever has inspired you. You know, you'll notice that the G-force or the yeehaw or some of the words that I have, I've actually gone right around the big letters and made it into a little jigsaw puzzle piece. So you're going to cut around, take off all the excess paper, and create another pile. Now, in the pasting stage, you want to start off by covering all of the white of your board. Now, these are going to be pictures of nature, grass, ground, forest, water, trees, etc. Now, but you'll look at these particular pictures and you'll notice something very distinct about every picture. There's a foreground, there's a middle, and there's a back. Notice that the picture itself is 3D. Just this picture. So if I place a car as an example on the grass, it's going to look like that car is coming right out of the picture, right into this reality. Now, this is crucial. I cannot tell you how important this is, that A, the base needs to be nature, and B, the pictures need to have this three-dimensional effect in order to create the right vibrational resonance and to pull you right through the board. This is like the Matrix, guys, and I'm telling you, the Matrix is real. Once you learn how to do this strategy, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, what you're going to do when you start to paste down these images is you're going to work within the energy flow of the infinity pattern. That means if something is on the top left, it's going to be coming into the center. If something is in the right, it's going to be pointing towards the center. I've had some people that paste everything on into a figure eight pattern. I mean, come on, guys, let's think about this a little bit more. I'm talking about energetically as far as the energy flow of the actual images. So, don't just paste everything in a solid figure eight pattern. Let's, be a little bit more creative than that. You can see that the plane looks like it's coming out towards me from sort of the center area. The watch looks like you could literally just reach right out and grab it. The woman there that's in the purple dress, it looks like you could walk right past her onto the deck of the house. Notice how three-dimensional this is. It's crucial that you get this. It has to be 3D. Now, this is a great example of a 3D effect, and I've shown this so that you can see what I'm talking about with the nature shots, and you can see what I'm talking about with the depth. There on the right-hand side, you can see that Lamborghini was not in the same picture as the golf course. Those are two separate pictures. But isn't it interesting how the car looks like it's driving right off of the page? That's what I'm talking about. The watch looks like you could grab it. The boat looks like, when you stare at the center of this, that boat looks like it's going to actually come right off the page past the water. The car down at the bottom, look how it looks like it's going to drive right across the water into the house in the background. Can you see what I'm talking about with 3 dimensions? Notice the depth. Now I want you to see the difference between a 3D effect and a flat effect that doesn't create the same type of energy flow. Now this is somebody, and I'm not to say that their board is not going to work for them, because maybe it will work for them, I don't know. But I want you to see the distinction between the 3D effect and the flat effect. So stare at this right around the create. Focus your attention on the center of the board. Focus right in the center area and notice how the board actually starts to go 3D. So I want you to just sit there for a couple of minutes, or about 15 seconds or so, and stare at the board. Now I want you to see the difference. Watch this. Now, if that doesn't shock your system into a flat reality, then I don't know what will. Okay, now watch the difference again. I'm going to go back to the 3D effect and feel the feeling in your body, the tranquility feeling, this feeling of almost like euphoria of the nature and the dimensions. And then watch this. Boom. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't a good vision board. I'm just saying that, the flat effect will not work to be able to create this sort of feeling with the matrix. It's very important that the board is 3D. Now, how do you actually activate the vision board? There's 2 factors to understand here. One is that you are going to, in this process, be energized. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that the vision board itself is a separate item. It's a separate thing. And by going through the process, you are going to actually activate the vision board so that it is pulsating energy when you leave the board. So you've got the time that you're with the board and the time that you leave the board. Now, it's important for you to tap into the emotional feeling of what it feels like in your physiology to have that vision now, in the reality now. Now, remember that your body is working like a radio broadcast station that's broadcasting out a certain vibrational frequency. Now, whatever is the match for that is what's going to start to show up in your reality. Now, in order to attract success, you need to broadcast success. And your physiology is actually the broadcast network. It's like that antenna that's pulsating out this broadcast like a television network or a radio station. So you need to tap into the emotional feeling of what it feels like to already have the success. And you do that by focusing on gratitude. Now, this right here is the secret. They don't tell you how to do it. They don't tell you how to implement it. This is the actual secret and how it works. Now, this is a formula that I learned. This is the equation for manifestation. I learned this as Vice President of Marketing for 2 years with Dr. Dov Baron from the Baron Mastery Institute. This guy literally changed my reality completely because I got it. Like the light bulb went on. All this personal development that I had done prior to this was great sort of foundational learning, but this right here was the gateway. This is what taught me how to go from nothing to multimillionaire. And if somebody took away all my money, everything, and then they said, Darren, you've got nothing. Like you got no money, you got anything, you got to completely start over, no problem. Right here, this is the formula. Your thoughts are directly connected to your emotions. Your emotions are directly connected to your feelings. Your feelings are directly connected to your physiology, and then boom, out goes a quantum boom that is going to do what? It's going to match everything in that vibrational frequency that is a match. Now keep in mind, this works for negative and it also works for positive. So if all you're thinking about is your stress and your worries and your bills and your sore neck and your cranking this and your arguments and the rest of the stuff that's going on and the people that you hate at work and all the rest of the stuff, guess what you're going to have for opportunity? Zero. In fact, you're going to be the person that gets into a head-on collision. You're going to be the person that falls down the stairs accidentally. You're going to be the person that just always has something go wrong. You're never the person that gets the raise. You're never the person that gets the acknowledgement. Your marriage is going to the tubes. Your kids don't behave properly. Woe is me. Feel sorry for me. Bummer. Or you can focus on gratitude and what you're grateful for. And we're all grateful for something. I mean, guys, come on. Let's say that, you know, you've got the worst job in the world. You can be grateful for the fact that now you know what you don't want. Get a new job. Focus on what you want. Focus on your passion. Focus on what really, really fires you up and motivates you. Now you know what you don't want. Phenomenal. Be grateful for that. So here's the actual secret in how it works. It's thought-directed emotion that generates feeling. Thought-directed emotion that generates feeling. That right there, if that's all that you get from this webinar, that will completely transform your reality, because it's up to you to be conscious of what you are thinking about. You have to monitor your self-talk. That's why personal development is so important. That's why, you know, Think and Grow Rich, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Ask and It Is Given, Unlimited Power. That's why these books are so important, guys, because if you stop talking in a conversation, you're going to start talking to yourself. And guess what? It's not going to be good for most part, unless you're conscious of it. Why? Because the human brain is programmed to self-destruct. People have deservability issues. They've got worthiness issues. they don't love themselves, and they've got no boundaries. So they get walked all over. So if you can know that and just be okay with it, that's the first step to making a difference in your life. That's the first step to making a change. If you realize that every single thought that is going through your brain is creating some type of an emotion in your body, and that's connected to your physiology, and that's broadcasting out that frequency, won't you be much more attentive to what you're thinking about? Won't you be much more attentive to your physiology? Because if you know that your physiology is the broadcast network, and whatever matches it is going to start showing up in your life, wouldn't you feel like you're really at the helm, steering your own ship, going towards your destiny, going towards your goals? Now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to write out 10 I am proclamation statements. Now, I am is very, very powerful because that's who you are. That talks about who you are right now in this reality. Now, the 10 I am proclamation statements are going to be written out like they've already happened. Now, keep in mind, there's no right way or wrong way to do these proclamation statements. You can dream as big as you want with your proclamation statements, and I encourage you to stretch yourself with your proclamation statements to really tap into your own superpower. Now, here's what I'm talking about. These are my proclamation statements, and that's me right there walking across 10 feet of shattered, broken glass in bare feet. So I can tell you the mind is very, very powerful. If you've ever heard of also the fire walk, where you walk across 2,000-degree hot coals in bare feet, that is something as well that I've done twice. And once again, it gives you an idea of what we are capable of. You know, when I was working with Dr. Dov Baron, we talked about these stories of women that actually could lift up cars with their bare hands without even realizing what they were doing to save their child that was trapped underneath the car. And all they could think about was that their child was trapped, and they literally lifted up the car, grabbed their child, and the car came smashing back down. How's that even possible? We have the ability to do superhuman things if we truly tap into this type of power. So here's 10 proclamation statements. Now, there's a difference between an affirmation and a proclamation. An affirmation is just something positive. You know, I'm driving an Aston Martin. I'm able to afford a $4,000 suit without question. I'm in zero debt. I can pay cash for everything. I'm donating $1 million to charity. I'm building a school in Africa. Here is the difference with a proclamation. Now, a proclamation is done standing up. It's not done sitting down. Your entire body is going to be involved in this process. I'm driving an Aston Martin. Now, you are going to physically get into these statements. You know, I'm paying cash for everything. I'm donating $1 million to charity. It is a physical experience. Now, when you hit the fourth proclamation, I can tell you this. Once you start to do this, like I'm going to explain how to do it, you will start to access what's called an energy boom, a quantum boom. And you will get ripples all the way down your spine, and energy will go right through your arms. You'll get goosebumps down your arms. And this is a phenomenon. Guys, I don't know how this stuff works. All I can tell you is it works. If you talk to any successful person that's made millions and millions of dollars, they all have something in common. They all do this stuff. Now, you can call it crazy. I mean, when I'm, driving my car and people see me doing proclamations and I'm, by myself, I don't care if they look over and they think that I'm nuts. It doesn't matter to me. And you've got to get yourself into that type of state of mind where you just don't care. And you're prepared to do these things. Do you know how a blender works when you plug it into the wall and you hit the start button? Do you really know all of the things that have to go into making that power happen for you? Or you flick a light switch and the power goes up to the light bulb and it goes through the little filament and it starts to glow. Do you really know how that works? I don't really know how it works, but I know it works. So all I can say to you is this is the gateway. If you want to knock down all of that fear, all of the limiting beliefs that you have, this right here will totally shift your reality. Now, in order to make 7 figures, you have to first master your mindset. Now, this is a story that I want to tell you really quickly because life is filled with peaks and valleys. And the most amount of learning, the most amount of personal growth happens when you're actually in the valley, not when you're up at the peak. It happens when you're in the valley. I call it walking through the valley of darkness. And that is actually your breakthrough. The major aha moments that you have, they're normally not when you're living the high life. They're when you're living the low life. They're when you're doing the inner work, the inner game, where you don't know what the answer is. You're at your wit's end, and you start asking questions. You start throwing out questions to the universe, and answers start coming back. This was back in 1998. And I was really down and out, like, holy crap. I mean, it was not a good time for me. The company that I was working for, I was vice president for a company. The company had gone under, and I found myself with no work. It was really tough at that time to get the type of positions that I was looking for at $100,000 a year or higher. And, I was down and out, like, holy crap. Like, when you're living a lifestyle, and you've got nice things and you've got nice cars and you've got a nice house and everything else, and all of a sudden it's all literally taken away, boom, your reality totally shifts really fast. So at that particular time, I was driving a 1989 Pontiac Firefly, and the car wasn't even mine. I didn't even have a car. But in my proclamations, I wanted to have a brand new Porsche. I mean, it was, my passion ever since I was a kid. And I remember being 5 years old and walking up to that Porsche. And at the time they had the rubber, the whale tails on the back. And I remember reaching up and kind of squeezing that thing on the back. And I was so fired up. I mean, I just love cars. So I had this vision that I wanted to get this brand new Porsche. Now, what Dr. Poulos had taught me, he says, Darren, I want you to go to a Porsche dealership, and I want you to talk to the sales manager, and I want you to tell him that you have to do this for work. Like, this is actually part of your job. So what I want you to do is go there and talk to the sales manager so that they're prepared for you every time you come down. So it doesn't have to be a big thing every time you come down to the dealership. They're going to know that, hey, this is Darren. Oh, yeah, hey, Darren, how you doing? And they're just going to open up the car for you, and you can go through and do your whole visualization. Now, keep in mind, this is tapping into a feeling, your physiology. Now, if there's anybody that goes to exotic car dealerships on a regular basis, you can be rest assured, it's me. All the dealerships here in town know me by my first name. Why? Because I go there all the time. Literally all the time. It's ridiculous. And if I'm not in the dealership, I drive past the dealership so I can tap into, through my visualization, me being in the dealership. So once you get good at this, once you do it so many times, it becomes second nature to you. So he said, okay, here's what your assignment is. As you're walking towards this car, you need to focus on the sound that your shoes make walking across the marble floor. Very, very attentive. Open up every one of your senses. As you move towards the car and you go to open up the door, don't just open it. you need to open it really slowly and feel the pressure on the edge of your fingertips, because there's going to be a point where there's a release latch and you're going to feel it ripple through your fingertips. So don't just open up the door. You want to open it slowly and feel that pop. It's going to go right through your hand. Now, as you open up the door, you don't want to just open it. You want to open it and smell this woof of leather, this brand new car smell that you get as soon as you open up the door. Now, when you get in the car, be really, really attentive to what the leather feels like on your body. What does the steering wheel feel like? And as you close the door, there's going to be oxygen that hits you in the side of the face. Now, most Porsches and Mercedes and things like that, they have a certain type of air seal, and when you shut the door, you get hit kind of in the side of the face with air. Be very, very cognizant of that. So then as you're sitting there, feel what it feels like in your body as if this car is already yours. Smell the leather. Don't be in a rush to leave the car. And as you're, be in there for maybe, 6 to 10 minutes, go through your visualization, and when you're finished, thank the car and tell it that you look forward to it being in your driveway and you'll be back soon. So you actually develop a relationship with this car. This might sound crazy, guys. You might think like, what the heck is this Darren guy talking about? But I can tell you this. Within 12 months, was probably 11 months that I started this procedure, I walked into the Porsche dealership and I said, guys, I'm here to pick up my car. Now, what's even better is that I had been to that dealership so many times and everybody knew me in the dealership that they said, you know what? This is the sales manager talking to me. He said, you know what, Darren? It's pretty darn obvious there's been no salesman involved in this transaction. They knocked $7,000 off the price of that car. Like, I mean, is that literally, that's crazy. The car was like $107,000 or something like that, plus taxes and everything else. And they literally knocked all that money off just because of my dedication and what I had done and the amount of effort that I had put in to get that car. So just to keep that in mind. So here's how you're going to activate the vision board. Now keep in mind, you've got you on one side with your physiology, you've got the board on the other side that you're going to energize. So here's how the procedure works. 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. All you need to do is read something that's positive. Now, there's a couple books here at the end that I'm going to recommend, and it doesn't matter what the book is, as long as it's a personal development type of book that talks about changing your life in some positive way. Okay? So you're going to read 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. That's it. Now, you're going to stand in front of your vision board, and you're going to stare at it until it looks three-dimensional. So remember when you were staring at that board and it started to look 3D after about 20 or 30 seconds. Keep in mind, if the board does not look 3D, you're not going to create this effect. That's why it's so imperative you have to have a three-dimensional vision board. If you look at this particular board and you stare in the center right around G-force, you'll notice that that plane starts to look like it's coming right off of the picture. The watch looks like you could grab it. The woman looks like a little Barbie doll that you could grab and pull off that board. The boat looks like it's going to drive right past Yeehaw. So the 3D is crucial. So look at the board until it goes 3D, and you're going to read your 10 I am proclamations out loud. And I'm talking loud. Like, quite honestly, if you're not shaking the room, you're not doing them loud enough. So don't be shy in any way, and you're going to need the support of your spouse if you're married, or if you've got a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a significant other. You need their support on this process. You can't be in a situation where you go to do your proclamation statements and they start laughing at you. That will not work. So it will create a negative energy around something that's positive that you need to do to open up this gateway for yourself. So very important that you have their support on this. But by the time you hit about the 4th proclamation, you should get a wave of goosebumps, definitely by the time that you hit the 10th one. Now, once you're in that power, once you feel that energy, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to take one step forward, and you're going to visualize a new you right in front of you that you're actually stepping into, like a new body. Now, if you do this 2 times a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, if you've got 365 days in the year, times 2, what is that? 365 times 2, 730 times. You're going to be 730 steps closer to your preferred state, closer to your goals and dreams and desires. Everything that you want to have happen in your reality, 730 steps further ahead than you are today. Now, this is a phenomenon, guys. I'm telling you, this is bingo.com, that everybody laughed at me when I went out and spent over $1 million on the domain name. And people said, Darren, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. That project alone generated $20 million for me and my business partners. This stuff works, guys. I'm telling you, this will totally transform your entire reality. Nothing is impossible. In fact, impossible, right in it says, I'm possible. So shift your reality, shift your thinking to realize that whatever it is that you want, it doesn't matter how crazy it is. I mean, when we put out that we were going to be on the front cover of a magazine or a newspaper, like, really? I mean, how could that possibly happen? And lo and behold, we get a call from the Vancouver Board of Trade with their newspaper called The Sounding Board, and they ended up doing a feature article on us, the comic book duo, Look to Conquer, the Power of Positivity. Right on the front page. I mean, you know, who would have ever thought that we would have 28 corporate sponsors paying for everything? Free trips to Club Med, clothing, chocolates, balloons, advertising, printing. Whatever you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. And that's the power of goal setting. That's the power of being able to learn these strategies and implement them. Now, here's the thing. You've got the knowledge, but you don't necessarily have the ability to take action. And that's the missing component. The question to ask yourself is, how bad do you want it? Because I was a person that was prepared to do whatever it takes. I was the guy that was working on Friday night when I was getting the calls from my pals, let's go out for beers, Darren. What are you doing tonight? I'm working. Well, how about tomorrow night? What are you doing? I'm working. Well, let's get together over the weekend. You know, are you busy? Of course I'm busy, man. I'm working. I'm on the path to my dreams. Nothing's going to stop me. You've got to put yourself into that type of attitude where you're going to do whatever it takes. So here's how you break it down. Here's 10 steps to achieving your goals. First thing you're going to do is you're going to set a goal. Now remember, it has to be believable to you. It doesn't have to be believable to everybody else. Because, you know, when you set a goal that's a little bit crazy, like one of my goals is that I want to own an office tower in Vancouver and have a logo on the very top of it. You know, I mean, that's a little bit crazy. You know, I want to fly around the world in Lear jets. I want to have a private chef that cooks meals for me. You know, I want to donate $1 million to charity. I believe those to be real. It doesn't matter about what anybody else thinks. It's what you believe to be true. Then what you're going to do is you're going to select a target date. It could be a month, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 3 years, whatever the target date is for you. Now you're going to identify the core reason why you want it. Now remember what we talked about really getting to the core reason. You know, do you really want the sports car because it's, you know, fast? You know, do you really want it because you want more recognition from your peers? And then remember that you need to work on giving yourself now whatever that is. And if it's recognition from your peers, you need to focus more on your own recognition and your own self-love. So you're going to write a list of action steps that are going to get you to that goal. Now, keep in mind, it's about little tiny baby steps, the little tiny action steps that you need to do in order to propel you forward. And I highly recommend seeking partners to be able to help get you there faster. What do I mean by partners? Well, if you're a marketer, you want to be partnering with your tribe. You want to be partnering with other people that have lists, JV partners, you know, joint venture relationships. You definitely want an accountability partner that you're working with so that you're sort of working hand in hand. You're doing things, they're doing things, and you're accountable to one another. That really, really helps. Now remember, you're going to make your goals visual. Why? Thought-directed emotion generates feeling. That is the secret. Thought-directed emotion generates feeling. And it's proven that visuals can tap you into the physiology faster so that you can go through this process, tap into your preferred state, and get that quantum boom that goes out. So you want to make it visual, tap into the physiology of what it feels like to already have it. Now remember, that's through the I am proclamation statements. You're going to read it, you're going to proclaim it, and you're going to visualize. Now remember, that's the story about the Porsche dealership and how I went there, you know, every week, and I had that relationship with the car, and within a year, bam, there it was, voila. Now this is the key. You need to feel grateful during the entire process, almost like it's Christmas coming. And there's no doubt that next year Christmas is coming, right? It's coming. Next year Christmas is coming, or your birthday's coming. You're going to get presents for your birthday, whatever. You need to feel a sense of gratitude and excitement that it's coming to you at lightning speed. It's coming, and it's coming fast, and you need to be grateful for achieving it. Now, this is the one area that so many people miss out. It's the missing component, and it's the reason why they feel empty after they achieve their goal, because they never celebrate. They never actually give themselves credit. They never actually reward themselves for their accomplishment. And then give thanks to the universe. You know, I always say, you know, whatever your beliefs are, you know, give thanks to God, give thanks to the universe, whatever it is that is your core beliefs, just give thanks, celebrate, and give thanks. So this is truly this 10 steps to achieving your goals. These are a few things that I highly recommend to my leaders to make sure that you read. One is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. That book right there will not only teach you how to make money, but how to keep money. And that's the important thing. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Ask and it is given. This truly teaches the art of learning how to manifest. That book right there in the center, if there was only one book in personal development and there was only one book that you could read, that there would be the book, because it teaches you how to increase your vibrational resonance. Every single emotion is attached to a vibrational frequency, and it teaches you how to increase those up to higher resonance. And the one book that really started me on the path of personal development, Tony Robbins, Unlimited Power. Tony is, as far as my experience has been in personal development, the most you know, knowledgeable, advanced person in leadership and training and mindset. Phenomenal individual, known worldwide. So you've got Darren Little here from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Thanks a lot for sticking it out through this an hour and change, an hour and 15 minutes or so. And I hope you've gotten some great value from today's webinar. And I'm going to pass it back to Chris and Susan. And thanks a lot for joining us.
Hi, Darren.
Hey.
Thank you very much, Darren. I don't know about everybody else on this webinar this evening, but we were absolutely rooted to this. And of course, we've seen this or some of it before. But, you know, the value in this, if you really go through it and implement it, can completely, utterly change your life. Have we not met Darren when we did, through whatever happened in the universe to bring us to him, we would not be here having founded the 10-10 formula, having the ability to bring Darren to you tonight. So we thank you with all our hearts, Darren, for what you've done for us and what you've done for everybody else on this webinar tonight.
Yes, and I can tell you that, you know, here we are an hour and a half later, and we've had 2 people drop off. So
that is unheard of on a webinar, and we were jam-packed tonight, absolutely jam-packed.
So absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much for that. I don't know if there's any questions here. We've just got...
Well,
wow.
Let's give you the feedback, because that's important. Wow, that was phenomenal, inspirational. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Chris and Susan.
Amazing.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for this. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Darren.
Where do we leave our
comments?
comments?
So good. Where can we leave some comments? Guys, can you go to Facebook? Go to Facebook, go to our timeline, Chris and Susan Beasley. Go to Darren's timeline, Darren Little. Please leave your comments there. That would be most appreciated. If you leave them on our page, they will automatically go to Darren, because we'll tag him in everything. We are so appreciative of you guys taking the time to join us tonight. We understand that's a big commitment on your part. We hope that that commitment has been worthwhile to you. I'm sure it will be. We look forward to seeing your success throughout 2013, and please talk to us on Facebook. Tell us what you've done. Tell us if you've implemented something. Tell us what your results are, because this is just the start of something for you, and we really want to be a part of your success. And by sharing it, you bring more of it to you, and you bring more of it to other people as well. So just fantastic. Thank you, Darren, so much.
Yeah, and I can tell you that the good comments are still coming through. Awesome presentation. It was amazing. Great teacher. You know, there's tons of it, Darren. So I don't know what you've done here tonight, but you've kept everybody on this webinar, and you've inspired everybody, which absolutely was one of the whole points of doing this webinar.
It was absolutely. You are a complete genius at this, and I don't think even you know your full talent. So we both look forward to working with you through 2013 and seeing what we want to do go to a complete other level. So thank you so much. We're going to close the webinar out now. The comments are still coming in. I just wish we could screen print these and just put them out on Facebook, because it is just incredible.
Fantastic.
So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. We've been on here an hour and a half. We do appreciate it. We appreciate the fact that you've stayed here with us, and Darren for that amount of time, and that you've actually given up your, what day is it, Monday evening?
Monday. If you want to send any of your comments through, please send them through to info@chrisandsusanbeasley.com, and we'll make sure that those get shared with Darren and that he gets all of the feedback there. Thank you so much. Don't forget to go over to Darren's website and have a look at his complete training on how to put your vision board together. It was actually a private training he did as well for the 10-10 formula team, which we're very, very grateful for. Just wonderful. Thank you, guys. And if you need the link for that, again, please contact us on Facebook. We'll make sure that we give it to you.
Okay, so
Over and out.
That's the end of it tonight. Thank you very much for your time, and we will look forward to talking to you again very, very soon.
We will indeed. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.